Top of the hour now. We have got a lot to get to. Let's dive right into it. Those who are just waking up this morning who have not seen that 4 o'clock bulletin will be happy to see that it has continued to slide a little bit out towards the east. That track nudging a little bit eastwards in the model further east than that. And that is going to kind of pull some of those impacts on parts of Acadiana. Not entirely. There are still going to be some parishes that we cover that are still going to feel the brunt of this storm. We're starting to see some of those areas kind of see some of the early bits of activity picking up right now. Category 1 storm right now strengthened overnight with winds at about 90 miles an hour. It'll probably top out at about 100 miles an hour. So expect it to get up to Category 2 strength. Remember, this is not out of the realm of what we had been talking about the last couple of days. So yes, it intensified pretty quickly yesterday or overnight, but it did not catch us off guard. This is all in according with what the forecast had said. It still looks like as it gets closer inland, it will start to drop in intensity and then eventually become a tropical storm and a depression. That doesn't mean that it is going to be any less dangerous as it does approach the coastline, and we are still expecting tropical storm force winds to extend out through large portions of Acadiana throughout the course of the day today. Starting to see some of those tides come up already, and that is still going to be the kind of the biggest issue I think that we end up seeing with this storm. The eastern side of Vermilion Bay, coastal St. Mary Parish, coastal Liberia Parish, just because of where it sits along that bay. It's a lot of water going to get pushed up there and eventually spilling out. And I think that that's where we're going to see the worst flooding is going to be down on the coastline. As far as rainfall totals go, maybe 2 to 5 inches worth of rain, kind of area wide on average. That's what we're looking at. Isolated spots of about 8 inches out over through St. Mary Parish. That's where you could get some of that flash flooding. But I think as it has shifted towards the east, most of Acadiana has kind of seen the possibility of flooding alleviated a little bit. That 2 to 5 inches we should be able to take. Our ground can soak that up pretty well. So I think we're going to be okay there with the exception of southeast Acadiana, which is also where we're going to see the strongest wind. Wind damage still could occur out over through the southeastern parishes and probably more widespread power outages for St. Mary Parish, Terrebonne Parish. That's not to say all of us won't end up losing power. You know, if you could still get a 40, 50 mile an hour wind gust, knocks down a weak tree on some power lines, and then you've got some of those issues. So I'd expect sporadic power outages through most of Acadiana, but a bit more widespread down through the southeastern corner, and then you do have the risk of those spin-up tornadoes out there. Some of those rain bands and some of those squalls do start to come through. So let's take a step-by-step look here as we go towards lunchtime. You've got those bands that are working their way, and there are going to be squalls that are kind of mixed in there. You've got the first of those creeping their way towards the coastline right now. We're going to see them become a bit more numerous as we go through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. Landfall is expected to be a bit later on in the day today, so late afternoon, evening. But I wanted to point this out on the model. It is starting to show that it's going to start to feel the impacts of some of that dry air getting in here. It is not as symmetrical out there as it gets close to the coast, and that's why we're thinking it starts to fall apart pretty quickly, which is going to obviously help a whole lot as far as the big widespread impacts go. Now, you can still see some of that flooding out over through eastern parts of Louisiana. New Orleans, I think, could be in the mix for some flash flooding as well. But we're kind of on the periphery of it in Lafayette, western parts of Acadiana. Wind's going to be out of the north by the end of the day today, and we get a nice breeze tomorrow. So any kind of cleanup that we do have as this lifts out of here, any kind of cleanup we do have for Thursday, I think we've got sunny skies mostly and nice northerly winds. Could get a little bit of cloud cover, a little bit of light shower activity early in the morning on the back end of that system, but I think the Thursday actually looks quite nice. So this is where we see the biggest rain totals out over towards the east, maybe 5 to 8 inches worth on the eastern side of that center, and that could be the New Orleans area that's out over through Thibodaux as well, with some of those hot spots picking up still maybe about 12 inches in some of those areas, but that's much more localized than it looked like yesterday. And then the further west you get, the more kind of easing you get of the potential for some of that flash flooding. Winds as well. We're going to get the tropical storm force winds out in central western parts of Acadiana, with those winds gusting about 30, 40 miles an hour, 50 by the late afternoon. But generally getting higher and higher as you get out over towards the southeast, and there could still be some of those gusts that push about 90 miles an hour right on the coast right at the time of landfall. So that's going to be where we see most of the wind damage, and that could creep over into Morgan City, St. Mary Parish as well. 40 to 50 mile an hour winds up through New Iberia, and that could stretch maybe towards Youngsville. I think Youngsville's more on the line of 35, 40 mile an hour winds gusting 50, 55 kind of at the highest times. That's late afternoon into the evening when things things are really going to blow around, but we still have that possibility for some storm surge, which I still think looks highest on the eastern side of Vermilion Bay. I think Cameron and Vermilion are going to be able to see some of that water come up, but I don't think it is going to be quite as extreme. You could get some of the waters up in the canals up along Delcombe, so a little bit of flooding out over through the ports there, up along some of the docks. You can see the water spilling over, but the worst of it going to be on the eastern side, and it looks better than it did yesterday, so there has been some encouraging news as that track has kind of shifted.